Hello and welcome to episode 77 of the Three of Skeins Knit and Crochet podcast. I'm Lisa.
And I'm Cryss. And y'all don't know what just went on here. Y'all don't know.
Let's just say it.
Just trying to film an opening.
Take 5.
Okay.
Well, do we want to start with our big news?
We don't have big news. You always oversell. It's not big.
The news is huge.
It's not huge. Oh my God. Talk about your sweater, please.
I am firmly on Sleeve Island. Let's get her out of the bag. Now, for those of you who've been following along, I decided I was going to do these sleeves 2 at a time. And that's exactly what I've been doing. 2 at a time sleeving. So what I wanted to tell you guys about today is you can pretty much 2 at a time anything in knitting, because you can join up anything you like. I've done, 3 or 4 socks strung together on a needle. The only thing is you have to have a needle long enough for what you want to do, because if you're doing multiple things at once, at least for me, because I don't have like long straight needles, I'm doing magic loop. So basically what you need to do is string half the stitches for, let's say this is sleeve 1. String half of the stitches, front or back, whatever side you care to start on. Do both fronts, and then slip the needle around and string it through both back halves of the stitches. And now you're ready to just knit round and round. I usually like to put just 1 stitch marker in to show me when I've completed a full round of both sleeves. But in this case, I am using 2 because I'm also doing a set of decreases on the, the underside of the sleeve. Mm-hmm. So I need to mark my center so I can do my decreases at the same position on each pair of sleeves. So that's really it. If you can do 2 at a time socks, you can do 2 at a time hats, you can do 2 at a time anything really. So if you haven't tried it yet, give it a try. The key is you have to use 2 separate balls of yarn. If you have 1 ball of yarn with the yarn going to both things, you'll just knit them together. So I think that's where I've heard several people say, I wanted to do these 2 at a time, but I got all conflummoxed, because I was getting a little conflummoxed too. And then I remembered, sweetie, you need a second ball of yarn. That's the only way you're not going to tie these things together as you knit them. And I think I am at about, this is my shoulder, I'm halfway to my elbow. Very exciting. And this is the Weekender Sweater by Andrea Mowry, and I will be done with this shortly.
Yay. How many balls of yarn did you use?
I'm gonna say at this point I used about 4.
Mm-hmm. And this is
Barocco Ultra Wool in the worsted weight. And it comes about 219 yards per ball. And I've got like the last half of my 4th ball.
I feel like the yardage recommendations from the Craft Yarn Council are like way off. I feel like it takes less yarn to make a sweater than they say.
You know what though? They don't know what sweater you're making. So they
this is like
gave a generic
hip length, long sleeve sweater. And you still only use 4 balls.
I'm not done yet though. And I'm almost done with the 4th ball. So
it's still going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,000
yeah.
yards. And I feel like they recommend more than that for an adult sweater. I'm like, what are y'all making?
It's hard with those generic recommendations. Let's squish you back in your bag. Squish, squish, squish. See, I'm not the only one. All right, good. So, Crystal.
Oh, Lord. I feel like you're making like a way bigger deal out of this than it is. Okay, here's what had happened, dude. So, I've been working on my dress, but I feel like I wanted to think a little bit more about the design. I wasn't like completely certain that I wanted to make it that shape, and then I started thinking about maybe I wanted to make it multicolored, and I don't know. So usually what I do when I'm starting to feel like that is I just pretend I'm not feeling like that, and then I start crocheting really slowly, and it's just like I do like a row a day, and it takes me forever to just finally say I don't know that I want to work on this project right now, because there's like nothing wrong with it, and I really like the yarn, and you know, it was going fine, but I just wanted some more time to think about the design. So I admitted quite early on this time, you know what, I'm just going to take a little break. But you know, we just had the little walk, and I bought some yarn. And this one yarn, I just kept thinking about it, and I kept thinking about it, and I kept thinking about it. And it was, if you watch the Wool Walk haul video, which is up on YouTube, you can check that out. We have to do those end card things.
Yes, I'll link to that video.
But I got this yarn from Grace and Pearl, and it's called Feza. The brand is Feza, and the yarn is called, I think, Alp Oriental. And it's like it was a weird funky kind of yarn where a bunch of different strands of different kinds of fibers are tied together, but they're like roughly within the same color scheme. And I was thinking about what I wanted to do with that yarn, because when I bought it I had no clue. I was just like, I don't know what this is gonna be when it grows up, but it was like so pretty in the ball. I was just like, I'm gonna get it and figure it out later. So I take that yarn out and I start just playing with it, and I realized that I might just have enough yarn to make a thing. So I ended up making a thing.
Show them what the yarn looks like, because it's really different kind of stuff.
This is what's left.
Yeah, that's all of what's left.
As you can see, it's a bunch of different kinds of strands. And this, I have about 1 yard left from 2 balls. And they were 250 gram balls, and they had 165 yards each. So I whipped out my 10mm hook, and I made a skirt.
Yeah.
So I don't know why she thinks this is big news, but
because the skirt came out of nowhere.
I suppose, you know, I mean, I hadn't talked, because I didn't plan to make a skirt. It just kind of happened.
So next time you accidentally make a skirt, let us know, okay?
Now she won't be funny. Okay. Anyway, so here's my skirt out of my chunky funky yarn, and now wait for it.
Woohoo!
This thing makes the skirt, and I'll put in a picture, or at least I'll put in a picture because she's doing the editing. But so all of this, from this dark pink down to the bottom, represents 1 ball of yarn. So I did 1 ball of yarn for the front, and then the other ball did the back, and they're roughly the same striping pattern. And then I had to just take another skein of something I had to do this waistband, and as you see, I have a little finishing work to do with some ends. And then I did kind of like a tuxedo stripe down the sides. And the thing was, these balls of yarn came with, like, each ball had a bundle of these pre-made fringes. They had just little tassels made out of the yarn. They're supposed to like show you the different kinds of yarns that are in the ball. Yeah. And so I had about 3 dozen of these little tassels anyway. So I was like, let's throw them on the skirt. And for me, the fringe makes the skirt.
It does. It absolutely does.
So now, I'm always talking about people doing these videos, like everything I made this week, everything I made this month. I'm like, how are we doing this? And I have some understanding now, because I did make this skirt in about 5 days. Technically, it's not completely finished yet, because I do have to put in the elastic waistband, because that's really going to help hold it up. In the picture, you will see I'm wearing a belt, because she needs an elastic waistband. But all told, like just making the 2 panels, I did that in like 24 hours. There's something to be said for really chunky yarns.
Yes. Yes.
They do work up rather quickly. Now, I thought about calling this a jiffy skirt, because, you know, I did make those panels so quickly. But honestly, when all was said and done, I did not feel like this was made in a jiffy, because first I made my panels, then I had to block it and let it dry, and then I had to sew it together, and I had to do my mattress stitch and the tuxedo stripes, and I had to do the waistband, and the fringe, and when all was said and done, I felt like I had put some effort into the skirt.
You did. You're still technically putting effort in because you got to put in the waistband.
I still have to put in the waistband and weaving in some things, but was it faster than just about anything else I've ever made? Yes, it was.
You mean crocheting with a 3.5 millimeter hook is slower than with a
10
millimeter hook?
Like just a little, like that much. So I don't know what I'm gonna call it because it's not gonna be the Jiffy skirt. This took some effort, but I really like it.
She is beautiful.
So yeah, I had a little surprise skirt. Oh, maybe I can call it a surprise skirt.
It just happened right there on camera. You saw it happen, people. I'm gonna write that down.
I think that might be its name. I tried to toss it onto her table and of course it slid right on the floor. It's fine. But yeah, so that's what I've been up to the last week. And I just kind of sort of did like a couple of rows. I started another project, but we will talk about that in the next video.
Wow, okay.
Well, I pretty much finished this one. So
True that.
I gotta keep rolling on.
Do you have any thoughts on your dress? Have you come to any conclusions about, is it the shape that is troubling you, or is it the shape and color blocking situation you're thinking about?
I don't know. I don't know.
Because I'm glad you stopped, because you can't rip that yarn out, so you had to stop, really.
No, I absolutely cannot. There's no, turns out you can't rip out sequin yarn. Maybe you can. Maybe there's some sort of technique I don't know about, but but yeah, that's what we've been making.
Yeah. So we were looking at, you know what? This is actually an outgrowth of a conversation we've had about the yarn industry. One of the things that really got to us when we owned a yarn store was that everything was so, I don't want to say antiquated, but antiquated. I mean, there are some yarn companies that they don't really have much in the way of a website that even as a retailer you can just order from. Some people, the ordering process was always kind of a trip, because one company you could order from their website, a couple of other companies you had to meet with a representative, some you had to fill out paper forms, so it was like all over the map. So this week we came across some things that I think are just pushing things forward differently.
We'll see.
We'll see. What do you want to talk about first?
I guess Michael's.
Yeah.
Because Michael said they're doing like this big change. I guess apparently they had less foot traffic. This is, pre-panoramic, like 2019. They saw their sales were going down, and I guess they panicked. And so now I don't really understand what they're doing. There's a video online where their VP of something is talking about the changes they've been making, and we'll link to that video.
Yeah.
But
oh, can I interrupt you for a second? I'm gonna give you a warning about that video. There's a spot in the middle where the screen goes black and you can just hear the voices talking. That is not your equipment. That's the video.
Yeah, that was weird too.
Just let you know that happens.
But basically they're talking about redesigning the retail spaces. Our Michael's is one of those stores where they're trying like the new layout, like they have their classroom in the front of the store, which is funny because they said they've only done this redesign in like 20 stores. Yeah. So it's funny that our local one happens to be one of the stores that got the redesign. But they're just trying to improve the look and feel inside the store because apparently they've gotten some complaints. And okay, fine, that's one thing to do. They said they're reducing the overall number of SKUs they have. I didn't realize they had online classes.
Yeah.
And apparently they have online classes. Now, one thing I have to say, in the video, the woman says that they have like 1,400 classes.
Mhm.
When I looked on the website, I saw 63. So
Yeah.
I guess maybe over the lifetime of all their classes, they've had 1,400 maybe. I don't know.
And they don't offer all classes at all times.
Clearly.
So,
but you would expect more than 63 if they're claiming to have 1,400.
That's what I'm saying. If they were online classes, why aren't they all offered? That was something that confused me.
Most of them are free. Some of them are on demand, and some are at like a scheduled time. It's basically what you'd expect, you know, decorating cupcakes and sketching, you know, basically highlighting the things that they sell.
Right.
I didn't hear anything that made me feel like, oh, I gotta run out to Michael's now. They've got a whole new thing happening.
One thing that confused me, I read the article. I read a couple of articles actually, and I watched that video. They keep saying they're going to focus on 5 areas, but they never say all 5 of the areas that
they're doing like pop-up spaces in the stores where I guess you can get some sort of hands-on thing.
Right. They want to use like the Sephora model where they have open stock, and you can, like in the fine arts area, they pointed to that.
Right.
You could try the
and
paints
I think
and whatnot.
Floral is another area. I don't know what the others are supposed to be.
But anecdotally, we're seeing ourselves and we're hearing from other people. There's less yarn in Michael's.
I know, and now I look at Michael's.
Yeah, I don't know if there is going to be a pop-up shop for yarn crafts.
I doubt it.
Or what? Because even Joann's, they have less yarn.
I think some sort of demos or something on Sundays, and they're doing take and makes for kids.
Yeah.
It overall, I feel like what I heard is that they're focusing on beginners, new makers.
Well, Michael's always did.
But
yeah, Michael's always did that, and so does Joann, really. Because they only have the most basic entry-level things. You might be able to get to step 2, but once you get beyond that,
right? How do you keep people coming back? Like, this is the place where I go for my supplies. If there's never anything beyond that beginner level, because I feel like having been to Michael's, you know, like in the last few months, I felt like there was nothing there for me.
I think that is part of the flaw in that design, you know, planning for beginners or even advanced beginners, because you kind of grow out of what they have at Michael's.
It's almost like they're trying to attract a customer that doesn't intend to stick with their craft, like the people who just want to try something once they saw something on YouTube or what have you. And I'm just like, is that a model for like long term?
It can be, because that customer always turns over. You know, you're not always.
How do you? Isn't it like a truism in retail that it costs more to acquire a new customer than does to keep an existing customer? So don't you want to keep those customers coming back? And one of the ways you do that is by helping them develop in whatever craft they're practicing.
I think that's why now they're focusing on classes, and they're also focusing on community. So
it seems like they're throwing everything against the wall. So now they're gonna have a marketplace like Amazon. I don't like these marketplaces popping up on other retail websites outside of Amazon, because I feel like with Amazon, you know, it's a crapshoot. And you know, when you feel like taking your chances, you do, and otherwise, you know, you go to a store that sells a specific thing you need.
Yeah.
But now I don't know if they're going to make it clear, because for instance, the Walmart website does not always make it clear when you are ordering from a seller or when you're ordering directly from Walmart. And then you have to worry about differing return policies and things like that. So like if I buy something from a seller on Walmart's marketplace, can I return that in a Walmart store?
Oh, I don't know.
Or do I have to return that by mail? Or, you know, so I'm not crazy about Michael's doing a marketplace on their website. I think that's a terrible idea.
And they're also going to focus on marketing to the makerpreneur, they call it. So basically they're going to bundle up products and sell it at a slight discount if you're buying, let's say, I don't know, a dozen of something or whatever their number might be.
It's funny, she also mentioned that areas where they were doing well was kids stuff and seasonal.
Yeah.
And I have a habit of watching the videos of people who buy those grab bags and boxes.
Yeah.
And what you see in those, they used to be $5, now they're $10.
Mm-hmm.
What you see a lot in those boxes is kids' crafts and seasonal items. And I'm like, y'all consider that doing well when you have so much of this crap, you're selling it off like in lots?
Yeah, but I keep telling you, if whatever they price those boxes at, they paid way less than that. They're still making a profit on those boxes. And with seasonal, it changes. And they got to get rid of it.
Open one of the. It was funny because in one box, she got a chocolate fountain. I think it's the same chocolate fountain we have. Mm-hmm. I love my chocolate fountain. It's wonderful. The problem is you need to have like a party because you need a lot of chocolate to make it function.
4 pounds. The minimum. Yeah.
So if you have enough people, the chocolate fountain is just wonderful. But one box she gets a chocolate fountain, and she paid $10 for that. So good price.
Yeah.
But in another box, it was like a huge box, and it was just filled top to bottom with those plastic ornaments that you can pull apart and put stuff inside.
Those clear ones.
Yeah. So just a big old empty plastic ball, but like 100 of them, like more than that. And I'm just like, what are you doing with those?
You see, that's the draw of those boxes. The people that buy that, they want the adventure. They don't care about what's in the box, really.
A lot of people buy a lot of boxes. I think that particular person, she got like, she did 3 different videos. She like kept going back and buying more boxes. And that's an area where they were doing well, and they were still more or less discarding a lot of leftover inventory. So I'm not really sure what their definition of doing well is. I haven't seen anything exciting. Or one of the things, again, another thing from this video, she mentioned that they're now tagging people on Instagram who have made projects using things they purchased from Michaels. And I'm like, y'all just figured that out in 2023? That is why y'all was struggling.
Yeah.
Like,
they paid a firm to tell them, hey, you should do that.
So
or at least telling people to tag them when they have made something with whatever they bought from Michaels. Because I'm not a Michaels knocker. Let me tell you, we were people who, if there was a 60% off coupon, we saddled up and we rode.
Yeah, that's another thing they didn't talk about, but
yeah,
they want those coupons to go away.
Yes.
And the 60%, that was AC Moore that would put out the 60% coupon. Mm-hmm. And because Joanne, Michael, and AC Moore all cross-honored each other's coupons, if AC Moore had a 60% off, you could use that at Michael's, much to Michael's chagrin. Now that AC Moore has gone out of business, there's a little bit less pressure.
Yeah. I haven't seen a 60 at all.
Yeah, no one else was doing the 60. You lucky to get a 40 these days.
Yeah. But she did mention that in the video that they want to get out of the business of discounting. They don't want to just.
She said the coupons weren't working, and they were working just fine for me.
They really were.
So I don't know who she was hearing from.
They could get all 3 of us in the car.
I don't know who she was hearing from, but they worked just fine for me. I'm not. Will they get more sales from what they're doing?
We'll see.
Who knows? Have they done anything that is gonna get me into their store as a regular, hardcore crafter?
As a yarn crafter, maybe I don't know. I don't know what I can't do anything.
I'll try my hands at different things. There's jewelry making or card making and scrapbooking and things like that. I mean, AC Moore got me to buy a typewriter.
Sure did.
So you just never know. But so far I haven't seen anything from Michaels that, we'll see how they do. I mean, I wish them the best, but
I don't think yarn stores should be quaking in their boots over Michaels or Joann's for people who are, who are regular makers. If you just make a little something now and again, or you make around the holidays, they'll get that business. But people who buy yarn regularly are not going to be able to get what they need at Michaels from what it looks like right now.
Is this a thing I think I will be following, but I won't be expecting very much.
Oh, let me say this because it just popped into my mind. Hey, we're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers.
Oh.
Could you subscribe for us, please? And if you know a friend who would like our content, share. Maybe they'll subscribe. Thanks a lot.
That is how her mind works. It just, whatever pops up. So, okay. Next, we were looking at knit stars.
Yeah.
Which is something, like, I've heard the term knit stars a lot, but I never really paid any attention to it because, you know, I thought of it, it's, you know, it's a knitter thing and, you know, I don't understand. But they're apparently starting something called the Yarniverse.
The Yarniverse, yes.
Which is basically a subscription for some of their videos. So they do this thing called Masterclass. And do they do 2 a year?
I think they do 2 a year now.
But Masterclass is just 10 lessons from 10 different makers, and they go to the maker's home and or their studio space or whatever, wherever they happen to live, and they do a mix of like interviews and lessons with that person. And do you know how much this costs?
Yes, I do.
So they're about to do season 8, they call it. Season 8 is coming up in November. And if you sign up now, it's like $250. $250.
Now, are you talking about Knit Stars?
Yeah, this is
Knit
just
Stars.
They're Knit Stars master classes.
Right.
It for the 10 different classes, it's $250. But if you want to buy an old one,
yeah,
that's $350.
The old ones are $350.
The old ones are $350.
Oh. Well, can I tell you though, as a person who likes online,
Mm-hmm.
if you wanted to do a yarn conference, but the expense of flying, renting a hotel room, and then taking the classes is just too much,
And you might want to eat at some point.
someday, so you don't faint, right? It's a good deal because you can take all of the classes for that $250. Plus, you get whatever the goodie box
And
is.
they're downloadable. Once you buy them, you own those classes and you can watch them whenever.
Yeah, so for me, that's a great deal because the complete price, unless you decide to buy yarn or what have you, is $250. When you look at other yarn retreats, ladies and gentlemen, the prices just go.
For me, the thing is, I would prefer an a la carte system. If I don't want to take that batch of 10 classes, I would love to be able to just pay for the one class that I'm interested in. So having it like this forced bundle doesn't really work for me.
Because she sells that as a yarn retreat. So that's
I think Yarniverse is maybe supposed to speak to that customer.
Yeah.
But it is a monthly subscription, and it's the founder's price, which you can get right now because I think they're just starting this up, is $40. And it's going to go up to $50. That's per month. And you will have access to some, but not all, of the previous master classes.
Mm-hmm.
And they say they will be adding new workshops as well.
Every quarter, yeah.
Those classes will not be downloadable though. Those that you will be streaming from their site, just for as long as you're subscribed. And they have, I still don't entirely understand the tracks. So they talk about taking classes along certain tracks. And I guess it sounds like there's kind of some sort of recommendation engine. So if you say you're interested in a certain thing, they will tell you which classes from, their previous master classes you might want to take.
Yeah, and what they've done too is they have arranged them in a sort of stacked order so that you can start at a beginner level and advance along that track.
So there's sweaters, there's shawls, there's color work, and then crochet. And I'm just like, there's sweaters, shawls, and color work.
Yeah, I saw that too. I was like, oh yeah.
You can't just like dump everything together and call it crochet, because if I make sweaters, I don't want to take an amigurumi class, you know what I mean, and vice versa. So I would be very surprised if there was enough content there for crocheters to make it worth $40 a month, because I looked at the lineup from their past masterclass events, and it's like a crocheter here or there.
Yeah, I didn't see much
sprinkling.
crochet in their past.
So I think this round, season 8, they're gonna have Jonah Larson, and they're gonna have the woman from Two of Wands.
Okay.
But she's doing some sort of knit crochet combo technique. So I don't know if you are not a knitter, if her class would be for you.
Gotcha.
Whether or not it's worth $40 a month, I suppose it's a subjective thing. I wouldn't.
I don't know if that would be for me to do $40 a month, but I have considered doing Knit Stars as a yarn retreat, just for the fun of doing a yarn retreat.
I feel like there's so much emphasis though on the stars part of that. Like this one, they're gonna have Jennifer Goodwin, which is funny because the last one they had Jean Triplehorn, and they were on Big Love together. Yeah. They played two of Bill's three wives,
and I couldn't remember the name because that's what we called it in the house.
Yeah, Bill and the Wives.
Bill and the Wives.
But I think they had some other actress in the past. It seems to lean very heavily on the celebrity aspect, even like
among the teachers.
Yes, the knitterati, but still trying to sell it as like making knitting your own individual expression of your passion.
Right.
And I'm not really sure how those two things jive.
Yeah.
So I am assuming that people who want access to, even virtual access to these individuals, will pay for it. Again, it's not for me.
But think about it. If you don't live in an area where you can get good instruction, that's a way to do it. And for me, it's cost effective. What I would do
is take a class in the thing that interests me. Like I said, this 10 class bundle, first of all, I'm not a knitter.
Yeah.
As a crocheter, you have given me no reason to give you money. Okay. Jonah Larson's a sweet kid and he's doing good in the world, but I'm not going to pay for access to him.
But with Yarnverse too, they also are doing like weekly get-togethers. So if you also want to have a community,
virtual,
you can do
have
that.
A community for free on Instagram and TikTok or whatever else.
True.
The Ravelry forums, even though they're a hell pit. I'm just saying.
Allegedly.
I don't know what they're offering that I feel like it's overpriced.
Okay.
I make $40 a month.
That is a lot. I agree
much.
with you on that. $40 a month. Yikes.
And then they always offer like opportunities to buy other things. So, get certain yarn. Like with Masterclass, the teachers get to curate a selection of hand-dyed yarn, things like that, and there's some bag or something they're selling. I know they're trying to really lean into digital. I just don't know
if that's the way.
Yeah. So it's kind of like half marks for the effort,
but you know what? It's a big step forward from you have to be near a yarn store. You have to physically go to the yarn store, and then whatever is going on at the yarn store, that's your entire world of yarn. So there's going to be some missteps. There's going to be some different things, but I think people really need to try different things. And speaking as a person who really enjoys yarn conferences and for a long time never went to any because they were thousands of dollars by the time it was all said and done.
Please.
This seemed to me like a great way to kind of put your toe in the water.
Okay.
Not the monthly thing, the actual just go, do the Knit Stars. I really liked, what was it too? Stitches at Home. I like that.
That was weird.
Except
they broke up the classes.
The classes
so that
were
was over
very, very long.
2 weekends, and that wasn't for me. I mean, I took one class. That's how I know it wasn't for me. I don't think I would do that again. So that's Knit Stars, and you can check out their. Yeah. We'll link to all the websites.
Links,
And the last one is this thing called Knit and Note, which is apparently already an existing app.
Yes.
And it's supposed to be for, tracking your progress on projects, and you can upload your patterns to it. There's a free version with ads, and then you can pay to get rid of ads. But I couldn't figure out how much you were paying.
$2.99 a month. Oh, but wait. Okay. The part that tickled me about Knit and Note, I think that's what it's called, Knit and a Note, the word and, right? You could use it for free. Track your yarn, track your project, blah, blah, blah. You could pay them $2.99 a month to have no ads, or you could pay $39 for the year and just support them more. You get the same thing at the $2.99 level that you get for the $39, but I think you're just paying the $39 to just cover the year.
Yeah, because $3 a month would be $36.
Yeah,
so you're paying a little bit more.
That's what they say. You just support a little bit more.
Oh. Okay.
So with Knit and Note as it stands right now, you can put all your project information. It's like a project page on Ravelry, but it looks prettier. It does.
It's a pretty project page.
It is a pretty project page because Ravelry is kind of ugly.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. You can upload your PDFs or a picture of your pattern. You can keep track of your yarn, and if you make a project in it, it will actually subtract out the yarn you use for the project as you use it, so you can keep track of that if you wish. You can earn badges. They also have a community, and they have tools, including, I am intrigued by the ruler. If you forget your measuring tape, you can somehow use your phone to measure whatever it is you're doing. And that's what you can get for either for free or for $2.99 a month.
Or $39 a year.
Or $39 a year. Now, the thing that they're trying to get going is an app where you can stream patterns. I guess stream may not be the right word, but
it's a subscription.
It's a subscription.
So all of the patterns that they will have on their website, you will have access to for. Do they have a price?
They never set a price.
It's in the Kickstarter stage.
Yeah, and the Kickstarter is not even up yet. They're just saying, hey, the Kickstarter will be up. They never set a price for that. They said they've got designers. They are guaranteeing that the patterns are well written and tech edited. Well, they didn't say the word tech edited, but they said they're good patterns. They didn't say anything like that.
I wouldn't say, well, you get what you get.
You can look at all the nice thing about it is that you can read through the pattern before you decide whether or not you want to make the thing, because you've already paid your subscription fee for the month. The patterns are not downloadable. You must use them in the app. And the app has functions kind of like Knit Companion.
Right.
Which did not work for me because I prefer working with patterns on paper. And and there will be purchases you're able to make in the app of yarn and other things.
So will you be able to buy the pattern in the app? Like, say you have the subscription, but you really like this pattern and you feel like, oh, I might make this again. Can you buy individual patterns?
No, but you can use that pattern again anytime.
Right, but that pattern could expire. The designer could take their pattern off the site and go.
I don't know how that's going to work because they didn't say anything about that.
Yeah.
But no, you can't print that pattern.
Because, think about like Netflix, right? They have a bunch of stuff because they compare themselves to Netflix in their little blog post. You watch a bunch of stuff, but things expire, and when it's done, it's like Star Trek: Next Generation. It's not much, to my upset. It's not on Netflix anymore because it's on Paramount Plus. But I don't like watching their commercials anymore. So I'd rather it be on Netflix. But once it's gone, and you have no control over that. So, what am I paying for if I can't guarantee that I will have access to that pattern that I really liked? That was at one point in your library.
It looks like it's going to be a very pretty interface.
Okay, Lisa.
It does. It's going to be a very pretty interface. And for people that don't make the same pattern more than once or so, it should be fine.
And that's another
depending on the price.
Exactly. How much is it going to cost? Because it takes time to make a thing. It takes me like 3 to 4 weeks to make a finger weight sweater. Yep. How much am I making each month that I'm paying this
for
price?
Monthly access?
Yeah.
For me, this is not a thing. I would prefer to just buy a pattern and own that pattern outright and not fiddle with a thing. But if you happen to like your patterns digital, it may be something you'd like, but it's not. I don't think it's for me. But I might try the free version just to track my balls. of yarn. I heard it after I said it. Sorry, guys.
This is what I deal with all the time. Just all the time. Okay.
But yeah, so that I think I am gonna try it out, and I will let you guys know how it is as I tried it out. And I signed up for their newsletter so I could read the Kickstarter when they get going, because I'm really curious about what they're gonna charge for that. Because there's the other hand of that is, how do you compensate the designers? What is this going to have to cost so that everyone is compensated fairly? Because the designers are selling their patterns,
and
once at a.
Will there be patterns on there that are available for sale elsewhere, or will they be certain exclusive patterns for Knit and Note? Like, if Andrea Mowry puts some patterns on there, will she have the Weekender so that you can get it with the subscription price, or will she only have patterns that are not for sale elsewhere?
They didn't say anything about that.
Questions. I have a few.
They did not. And then, as a designer, it's like, I remember reading this one designer. I really liked her patterns. I can't remember her name, but she retired years ago because back when she was active, you mostly sold patterns to magazines.
Mm-hmm.
And there was no way for her to get her rights back. And she had literally done hundreds of patterns. And she felt like she had done all that work, and now she no longer owns that intellectual property.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very,
And one of the ways you guard against that is by having an expiration date for your pattern. So if you want to be protected from losing your patterns forever, as say, for instance, Knit and Note goes out of business, but you don't get your rights back, is by making the patterns expire from the site. So are they going to expire, or will a particular pattern be on the site in perpetuity?
If the site goes on in perpetuity, because as a former Craftsy member, I was supposed to have access to certain classes forever and ever. And you saw how that worked out.
So, I don't know. I feel like people still don't know what to do in the digital space. And don't get me wrong, I know it's a challenging thing, and everyone has their own needs and their own interests and what have you. But I still just don't think we're there yet. I don't think anyone's really
not there yet.
Gotten it right just yet.
I am heartened to see that these experiments are going on, and I'm curious to see how they evolve, because this is just how they're starting. Things will grow and change as time goes on if they last long enough, because they'll run into a bump in the road and they'll have to change direction. But I'm heartened to see that this is happening, because as little as 3 or 4 years ago, people were still trying to sell. Remember the little USB thing? Yeah.
Did that ever even come out?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. XRX was selling this USB thing.
Stitch chips? What they call
Stitch chips. Yes. And I was like, my computer doesn't have a USB port.
Yeah, patterns on a USB plug-in device, and I'm just like, where do you plug that in?
Yeah, what do you plug that into?
You can't on a laptop or on a phone
or on an iPad.
So
it's still new in this particular industry, the fact that there is a digital world. Okay.
That's just what we've been scouting on the internet. We try to bring you, interesting things you may have missed.
And if anybody has tried any of this or is interested in trying any of this, let us know how it works for you, because I'm curious. I'm at least going to try Knit and Note.
Tell me about these master classes. If you've done a Knit Stars master class, I'm like super curious. I think they need to put one class out for free just so people see what they're paying for, because I don't know about going in at $350 deep blind.
Not for the old classes, no.
And season 1 is not on the website. I only saw seasons 2 through 7. So
well, you know what? I'm gonna give them season 1, because that was probably the first one they did. Probably not that great, but you know what?
They sell it at a reduced price.
That first one, you're learning. So
they sell it for less than $300.
So probably 2 and going forward, they had it together, and it probably looks great.
Yes, feel free to share opinions in the comments, as always.
And like and subscribe. It really makes me happy, and it will help us get to 1,000 subscribers. Anyway, I think that's it for us this week. Thank you so much if you made it this far. See you next week.
Stay stitching.